this way. Reactions are vital during filming, so why wouldn't they be during an audition as well? So time is spent on reaction coverage. Make sure that your audition contains reactions as well. Remember the old saying, acting is reacting.
Welcome to Casting Actors Cast, insights for actors on acting in the business of show. Casting director Jeffrey Dreisbach takes you behind the scenes and reveals secrets to a successful acting career. You can find out more on the web at castingactorscast.com. Please enjoy, like, and share Casting Actors Cast. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Dreisbach.
Well, hello and welcome again to another episode of Casting Actors Cast. So cool that you're here. Can't wait to get started today. Today's program I'm calling The Right Touch for Keeping in Touch. And if you're a little bit curious, maybe that's why you're listening to this podcast for the first time, or if you're a regular listener, it's so cool to have you back again. Thank you so much. This is the place in the podcast where I love to just say thank you very, very much for tuning in. Please spread the word. I love getting feedback and email, and I love getting people to ask questions. It's so much fun to be able to respond like this, and hopefully you're getting something out of this, and I know I am. I know I'm having just such a cool time being able to do this. You know, I do a lot of teaching, and I also enjoy it when somebody in the class has been listening to the podcast and mentions it and mentions how they've been helped. So that just warms my soul. So thank you so very, very much. Also, just another quick reminder for those of you that are in the New York City area, happening on October 20th, that's a Saturday, the National Monologue Slam will be conducting their event on the 20th. All you need to do is go to nationalslam.com and find out more information, exactly where it's going to be happening. There is a fee involved, but I can tell you that if you mention the word podcast, you will absolutely get the entire event for half off. I'm also going to be a judge at the event, so I look forward to seeing you there. It's the National Monologue Slam, not to be missed. It's going to be a really great day, I know it. So let's get started. The right touch for keeping in touch. What this is all about is how do you make connections with folks in the industry? What's the best way to stay in contact? This entire episode was given to me basically by a question that I got from one of the podcast listeners who really was afraid of being too much, making the correspondence too lengthy, and what was the best way to keep in touch and let people know that you are out there, especially folks in the industry that could be of value to you, could be helpful to you, like agents, managers, obviously casting directors. Have you thought about directors or producers or choreographers? Those are all people in the industry that might be good for you to maintain or at least develop some kind of a relationship with. And oftentimes that's really hard to figure out. So what method do you use in order to develop this relationship? So I want to give you a few things to think about. What's the right approach? I think there are a few answers here, but let's explore it and tease it apart just a little bit. It's obvious to me because I receive a lot of postcards. I receive a lot of pictures and resumes. I get a bunch of email, and it's always interesting to me to find out a little bit about you. I can tell you that the one thing that always makes me kind of wonder who is sending this information is when I get an obvious, "We met at a class, and if you think I'm right for anything, please let me know." Now, you might think that that's a perfectly appropriate thing to do, especially if we worked in a class together. And, you know, logically, that kind of makes sense. But here's the thing. If you're not specific about why you're making contact with me, if it's a general, "I'm here and I'm looking for work," understand that it's obvious that if you're contacting me, that you are interested and available in job opportunities. So that's pretty much a given. And I don't need to necessarily be reminded of that, and you don't necessarily need to put that forth. The better kind of correspondence, And I'm talking basically about snail mail here, although email would probably be equally useful to share about. And that is if you have a specific reason to be in touch with me, then I'm much, much more receptive. But general inquiries are always a little off-putting, I have to say. So just know that if you have something specific that you want to share, here are a few examples. One, I'm in this really great new play, and it's off Broadway, but I would love for you to come and see it, and I just want to let you know that I'm working. Letting me know about something you're involved in, that's a really cool thing. That's a great thing. And so that's something that you should really promote. The second thing that you should really promote, you had a really great time in a class that we taught. Anytime there's a personal touch about a situation that might have happened, then I always appreciate that. I received a lot of really, really genuinely nice thank you notes from people who attended the EPA that I talked about in my episode about competition. And those people wrote handwritten, very nice little thank you notes saying, well, I won't go into what they said because it's a little embarrassing because they were very, very nice is what I'm trying to say. And it just was a contact. They just wanted to say thank you, and I had a good opportunity, and hopefully there'll be an opportunity in the future. Done. That was absolutely an appropriate thing to do when making contact. If you want to make contact with an agent, asking an agent outright for representation is really not the most professional approach. Here's why. Agents are very, very busy with their client list. They have a focus and they have a very important job to do with their clients. They're setting up auditions. They're making contacts with casting directors and producers. They're doing everything they can with the opportunities that are in front of them to get their clients into those situations. And so saying, I really think that we would be a good match, or I think that your agency would really benefit from what I have to offer, is really kind of putting the cart before the horse, but it's also not the most professional approach in the world. So the most professional approach is one where you are, as the CEO of your own company, which I've said many, many times, you are a professional and you are looking to develop a relationship with another professional. How does that work? It works because you're working, you're in a real cool class, somebody on the agent's roster made a recommendation that you contact the agent. Boy, that's always a good one. If a casting director suggests that you might be a good fit with XYZ agency, then maybe that's a very, very good thing that you would put in any kind of correspondence. It's strictly a business. A lot of actors feel the need to attach a lot of emotional connection information into their correspondence to the point where it is really quite off-putting. You know, I have always dreamed about being a professional actor, and now that I've got my degree and I'm headed to the big city, I really would love to work with your agency, and when can I call? If the roles were reversed, what kind of correspondence would you like to receive if you were the agent? What would be the best way to make contact? So clearly, if you are in a show or in a production, that's a really great reason to make a connection. Offer to get tickets, let somebody know a little bit about the part or the role or the play that you're in, and then that's all you need to do. Then leave it at that. Certainly inviting those people or helping to arrange tickets or whatever it is. If you did a spot on a television commercial, or you did a day player on an episodic television show, then by all means, there's a really great reason for you to send out postcards, for example. I love the postcards where your picture is on it. By the way, your name is under your picture, so I can associate your face to the name. And then on the other side, hey, I'm going to be in an episode of Law and Order SVU, so I'd love for you to check it out. Hope to hear from you soon. That's all you need. A working actor letting people in his universe know that he's still a working actor is really all you need to accomplish. Let the manager or the casting director or the producer make that association. Oh, he's working. That's great. So that when an opportunity reveals itself, their memory, our memory, the casting director's memory is triggered. Oh yeah, that guy's working. He might be really, really great for that. Now, also as far as content is concerned, have a reason to make contact other than I'm looking to develop a relationship with you. That's the most important thing about that. I think the preferred method for most people now is snail mail. Believe it or not. I don't know about you, but I'm like any casting person or agent or whatever. I get hundreds of emails a day, and it's literally impossible to respond to every email. It just can't happen. Plus, I have to differentiate between those emails that are appropriate to the business, those people that I'm working with, like directors and producers that I have to please and that I'm working for because we're hired by the producer or the director or the theater. So snail mail seems to be the best thing to do because it comes to my desk, I take a look, and by the way, you shouldn't have expectations. If a postcard lands on my desk, just assume that I'm going to look at it and then read the back. Then I'm probably going to throw the postcard away. I don't covet them, but that's all that you should expect from that kind of correspondence. So email is probably less preferred. I would be very, very careful about sending out blasts or email blasts, but there is one exception, and I got this from Pat McCorkle, my partner. McCorkle Casting is the company that I work with, and she gets, and this is kind of interesting, I think, but she gets a newsletter it's kind of a newsletter format. I think MailChimp is the company that sends out these email blasts, but it looks like it's sent just to her. But it really is really great. It's an actor, and I'm sorry I'm not going to mention his name because I didn't get permission to use his name. But just the concept, I think, is really worth mentioning. And he sends out what looks like a newsletter. It's just a one page. And it's got some columns in it, but it's got an article about what he's been up to. And he blasts that out once a month on a regular basis. But it's projects he's involved with, maybe some charity work that he's doing, maybe a funny little quip or a little story. Of course, his picture is on it. Maybe there's another picture of him on the set of something that he shot. And he makes it a regular habit to send these out to all of those people that he's had some kind of a relationship with, and probably those who he would like to continue to develop that relationship with, and probably there are some people out there that he's not met before but feel, really enjoy getting this piece of mail. And this kind of newsletter format is really kind of cool because Pat will open it up and just take a look at it. She'll breeze through it on the way home from work, for example. Oh, she takes the bus, by the way. She's not a driver, and she doesn't use her cell phone while driving. Okay. Anyway, so she's on the bus, and she kind of just breezes through and says, oh, there he is. And what's he up to? Oh, I see. He's doing That's as much as you need to do. It's extremely professional, and I kind of like that idea. Now, I'm going way back to the beginning of this podcast where I was talking to you about somebody who had been listening to the podcast and really wanted to know that they're often afraid that they're saying too much in a letter or maybe not enough. Is there something that you should be saying when you make these kinds of contacts, whether sending out a postcard or something like that? And my answer is, like I said, if it's specifically for something that you want to share with others, that's great. But let me also say this to you specifically. If you're worried about being obnoxious, you're probably not going to be obnoxious. In other words, obnoxious people rarely ask if they're being obnoxious. They just are. So don't get over worried or don't get mucked down into the minutia of this. Understand that the purpose is just marketing who you are, marketing your brand to those people who might be in a position to help you. Keeping it simple like that, I think, is really, really helpful. So email is okay if the relationship is a little bit more defined. If you've had an ongoing relationship with somebody and they would appreciate an email about something that's going on, I think that's great. But snail mail really, really is great. Another thing that we haven't talked about, and that is the social media aspect. I am not a huge fan of actors tracking down an industry person's social media account, Facebook or others, unless the person that you are dealing with has a page that looks like they're dealing with industry kinds of correspondence. So I would refrain from that unless they have a page that looks like you could be free to contribute or thank them or mention them, something to them to that effect. I think that would be okay. But generally speaking, those kinds of social media things are really intended for, personal correspondence or personal communication with those people in their circle. So be a little bit careful about the social media thing. Calling should be definitely off the list. Making a phone call and having a chat is never going to be helpful to you. In fact, that would be one of those, don't do that. It just doesn't make sense. And there's also something to be said about looking desperate. Desperation never got anybody a job. I've said that before. Calling will just take that off the list. And finally, no stalking. Please, don't try to figure somebody out by following them around and make it a mission to get inside the surroundings of an office or a specific person in the business that you want to get to know. I know that goes without saying, but I felt compelled to say it anyway. Partly because the podcast is kind of really growing out there, and I just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page about these things. I think the idea of being really clear in your reason to make contact with somebody is really the way to go. Also, what would you want to receive if you were in their place? I think that's also a helpful thing to do. And by all means, if there is some role or some project that we are working on, either through Backstage or Actors Access or however, rumor mill, it doesn't matter, then by all means, let me know that you love the role of so-and-so and that you would love to be considered because we had a class and I know your work. Something along those lines. If there's a specific reason to be in touch, then by all means you should do that. Just a couple days ago, it just boggles the mind that I literally got somebody who spent, I don't know, I guess $6 or $8 or whatever it is to do an overnight. And I open up the overnight envelope and it's just their picture and resume. There's no note attached. I don't know this person. I've never met this person from what I can see from the picture. And that was it. And I'm thinking, dude, you spent this kind of money just to throw your face in front of me for a second. And in a way, I'm thinking, don't you think that might have done more harm than good by making that kind of connection? It didn't really help you, sir. It didn't really do much for you. So just be aware that there's not a trick to this. Be a professional, especially those that are in a position that might be able to help you in a professional way. That's all you have to do. We're all human beings, for God's sakes. We're all trying to make it work. So you can be part of the solution by using these professional habits. I hope this has been helpful to you, like I said, and really had a great time today. Please like and share. Go to castingactorscast.com. All one word, castingactorscast. Send me a voice message. It's really easy to do. Take a look at some of those past episodes. I think you'll be really pleased because I love doing this. This is like really the coolest thing that I've done in a long time. So I appreciate every little thing that you can do to make our business just a little bit better. So thanks for listening. I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach, and this is Casting Actors Cast.
You've been listening to Casting Actors Cast with host Jeffrey Dreisbach. Find out more at castingactorscast.com and let us know if you would like us to cover topics you're interested in. Thanks for listening. I'm Matthew DeSarno.